Alrighty, guys. Just go ahead and give me a shout out in the chat if everything comes through clearly. Want to make sure connection's all good before we get started. Looks like things are coming through clear on my end. How about that dip? We'll get started on just a second, guys. Let's go ahead, see if we can get some people here in the chat. There's always a delay on Livestream, so you guys always have to deal with me. And then there's those of you who are watching afterwards who are like, Nick, I'm already here. What, Awesome. Alrighty, guys. So come through clear. Nice. All right, well, welcome to this kind of last-minute live stream. I thought I might as well go ahead and do one. Is the music too loud? I'll go ahead and turn that down just a tad bit. Shouldn't be too bad, but I think I have it as low as possible. Alrighty, so I want to spend some time to talk about the recent price action with Bitcoin because, as always, it's literally almost become a meme on the channel nowadays where I'll do a daily update in the morning and I'll just be getting that sense of confidence in crypto markets, and then something like this happens. It's like people have been telling me, Nick, you need to stop doing daily updates. You just need to stop because it's bad luck. So I would like to announce there will be no more daily updates. No, I'm just kidding. There will obviously still be daily updates. But to be fair with you guys, I understand a lot of you are concerned. I've definitely been a little bit on edge. It's interesting to see price like this. But I'm reminded time and time again with crypto markets that much like with some of the rallies we get, we have to see real volume to really have justification behind them. And that's why, for example, within a matter of a few minutes here, Bitcoin can rebound back up nearly $200. So I want to spend some time to talk about what this is. Is there any catalyst that's caused this? From my knowledge, I don't have any info on what could have caused this, guys. I have a decent amount of connections who, trade in different areas of the world and people like that, but I'm not, that in the know. I'm just one guy. So I can tell you from the connections I have and from the sources I read, I have no idea what's really causing this. The only thing that I've gotten a few hints for is the fact that, A, at the moment, there's still a lot of people trading on leverage, and B, there's a little to no volume in actual spot markets and the basic trading markets of Bitcoin. Not to mention a lot of that volume is going over on OTC. So you've got this double whammy where retail traders and institutions are trading on OTC and leveraged exchanges, and you have little to no volume on the actual exchanges. So for example, we're on Coinbase right now. Coinbase is one of the most well-respected US exchanges. This is including Coinbase and GDAX. And we're really not getting that much volume. Now in the 5-minute, this is clearly more volume than what we've been getting over the past months, but it goes to show you that at the moment, normal trading on Bitcoin on a 5-minute basis is around 5, 10, 15, 20 Bitcoin. And when you have something like this, once you've gotten a good 1,000 or two into the order book, once you've cleared through that side of buying, it's very easy to pressure price lower. And a lot of whales abuse this. A lot of whales try to push it even further. They can sell a few Bitcoin on exchanges, on the actual spot exchange, and then they can go about liquidating contracts on margin on the short side and making a ton of money in the process. Obviously by going short or long in the other case. And it's an isolated group of people, really. I would say Bitcoin whales that have been doing this for a long time. I don't have identities tied to it. And to be fair, it's the market as is. They're taking upon an opportunity of low liquidity. And if traders don't realize that on the retail side, they're going to get burnt. So what have I been doing, guys? I would love to tell you guys. I've actually gone about adding, there's limitations in the way that I transfer money onto my exchange accounts. It's just how most use exchanges are. But I just bought like another $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Picked some up around I think it was 650. I might be off on the number, but it was relatively towards the low. So hopefully price will keep moving higher. Bought a nice little bit of Bitcoin on a dip. It's going to be an addition to my long-term holdings. Been meaning to make a fiat deposit into crypto for a while, just waiting for the right opportunity. And it was either going to be a matter of markets really picking up and signaling that a reversal is coming in, or in this case, prices going lower. And well, one of the two scenarios turned out and I got it. Now, there's also another few reasons why I'm adding. As much as this is bearish, it's a little bit scary. I understand there's a lot of FUD in the market at the moment. I want to spend some time to talk about two really good things that happened with this dip that we were planning to take a nice boring month or two to get to. First off, if you take a look at the weekly chart, we have Bitcoin holding on the 100 week. So long as this gets back up, holds around 58, 5,900, I'm going to be very happy in that. If we can close the week above that and hold this. And I'd like to see it hold for a while until we really get any serious moves. But along with that as well, if we take a look over, take a look over at Bitstamp, where we have a nice amount of price action to work with. Check the log chart. We made contact with the line. Now, this is really going to be a make or break moment for Bitcoin. Obviously, the market has decided, whether it be a few select whales or a mass wash of different traders, in this case, that we're now going to test this line, this long-term historical line of support for the logarithmic chart. Can it hold? We'll have to see. So, and if that's not the case, guys, it might be a longer-term downtrend and bear market if we don't get backed and a few other things coming, or we have to wait for something like the 200 week, which is what we got last time. So, who knows? I'll see if this holds here. I'm going to remain patient. I'm not FOMOing or FUDing either way, guys. Haven't sold any positions, still in the positions that I'm in regards to Bitcoin and altcoins. But at the moment, I'm waiting to see how the day is going to close. It's going to be very, very important to see price recover a lot of these losses if we really want to see markets make higher levels. So I go ahead back here, Coinbase, and we can see volumes definitely kind of dying out. We're not getting any more major sellers. Again, I mean, guys, I want to prove my point here with the talk of like whales liquidating. This is the kind of stuff that they're making money on. This is what big traders are really pushing price down for. Okay. So this is the important thing to take into account. They love play the liquidation plays. Okay. That's where they make money. They trade on margin and borrowed capital. So, I mean, it's just how it's been working for quite some time, and they're abusing a low volume market. So that's the best, insider tip I can give you guys. I don't have any knowledge of what's going on. I'm just simply letting you know that's probably what's happening. There's no fundamental news that I can see in the headlines. In fact, as we were talking about in my previous video, which doesn't seem very well timed with all of this, it's very clear that we've got a lot of things coming up that would make the case for crypto much more bullish. But it's a matter of them getting approved and getting implemented. That pretty much is going to be a question whether or not the ETF gets implemented, but BACT is coming right around the corner. So it's a matter of whether or not it delivers on the hopes and dreams that it promises. With ICE working on it, though, I think you're in good hands. All right, let's see here, guys. We'll go ahead and dive into the chat. It'll be a relatively short live stream. Just thought I'd do something a little on the spot, but I know that you've definitely got some decent questions to ask outside of is crypto dead? Because it's not. Let's see. Some people have been asking me whether or not this is Jihan and like Craig Wright and like all the Bitcoin Cash crew taking down Bitcoin during the fork. I don't see why they would do it. And there's a few reasons for that. One, they're going to need much more ammo, meaning much more Bitcoin, to take down this price if they really wanted to do that. And second off, I don't really get it. They're not really competing against Bitcoin at this point. It's infighting between the two different forks that are going to come out of Bitcoin Cash. And I know Craig Wright has been talking a little bit. He's gotten real hostile recently. He's been talking about how he's not only going to take down those who oppose him in the Bitcoin Cash camp, but along with that as well, he's going to be attacking altcoins and Bitcoin Core and everyone. He's just gone full bonkers in that sense. And I've watched some of the interviews where he's talked. I'm not going to question so much on the issue. I really don't give a care about Bitcoin Cash forks. But at the same time, I'm going to definitely contemplate that they might have some effect on price. I just don't see it in the sense of what we just saw, even the low volume that we're getting right now. XRP raffle. What is your take on XRP? Do you see them being number one? What's your take? I don't see XRP being number one. And the reason I say that is because, and this is not to be rude to the XRP camp, I know there's a lot of you out there who love it, who see it going to $100 per coin or token. Look, I'm not really in that camp until, and there's a few reasons for that. One, the people who are betting on this are betting that XRP is going to be the underlying framework for all banks to communicate, really a replacement for SWIFT. And XRP might play a role in that. but I do not believe that you're going to convince a lot of banks that they're going to need to use the XRP token to arbitrage across the world, right? It just doesn't, to me, it really hasn't sold me yet. So we'll have to see. I need to see them with more partners. I need to see more banks actually setting demand for XRapid. And along with that, I don't really see it setting much of a demand for price, right? A lot of people will talk about, and the reason I say this, just if you can hear me out on it, is that people talk about how, oh, the banks are going to have to buy up XRP to shift money across the world through XRapid, right? Well, what are they going to do right after when they need to convert the currency that they swap to XRP into the currency they want for the other nation that they're transporting the money to? They're going to sell the XRP. So the demand and sell side are equalizing. They neutralize one another. So it doesn't really set a precedent for demand in that case. So again, I might be missing something. This is just my opinion. But at the same time, I'd tell people to be cautious in regards to the overhyped narrative that XRP is going to go to $50, $100, $1,000. You have to understand how much XRP is out there and whether or not banks are really going to buy that. So I think, nonetheless, I think Ripple's technology is pretty cool. So sorry, long ammo. Someone said to take a look at Craig's recent tweets. All right, let's do that. Let's go take a look at Satoshi. Let's go ahead and read this, guys. To all Bitcoin miners, if you switch to mine Bitcoin Cash, we may need to fund this with Bitcoin. If we do, we sell for USD, and well, we think Bitcoin market has no room, it tanks. Think about it. We will sell a lot. Consider that and have a nice day. BTC to 1,000 does not faze me. Let's see his other ones. Oh, I think this is a continuation of another tweet or thread. Let's go ahead and click on it. Oh, this continuation of his tweet. Oh, and Jihan Wu and Roger Ver selling. They will also have to sell BTC to pay rented hash. If this is a long war, expect 2014 prices in Bitcoin. Think what that does. Have a nice day. I don't see it, guys. You've had a lot of talk going on between the Bitcoin Cash camp, and I think there's a lot of learning that's coming out from the individuals who have gotten too deep into forked currencies. The amount of development that has gone into Bitcoin markets would not sit on stem. I mean, you want to challenge, you hear this talk, for example, from a Dr. Craig Wright saying that, oh, you're gonna have to switch over to Bitcoin Cash, and if we have to expand our mining operations, we're gonna dump all the Bitcoin we have. No, I'm not gonna do that. Like, you know how much they're putting at risk doing that? It's so much talk, guys, and this is not. I genuinely believe that's not what's dragging down markets. What Craig Wright tweets. We'll see if he can deliver on it. I'm not here to trash talk him or his ambitions or say that he's wrong in bringing Bitcoin Cash in the direction that it is. He's got the hashing power, and hashing power speaks. But I don't think he's got enough weight to weigh down the entire Bitcoin market. And if he does, there's going to be miners who at this price level are much better off mining at this market, or excuse me, purchasing rather than mining at this market rate. And they're going to come in and scoop at these lows, as we've seen every time Bitcoin has a dramatic dip below 6,000. So we'll see how it turns out. Maybe he's right. Crypto B said Bcash is trash. A lot of people think that, but I don't care so much about Bitcoin Cash and the philosophy. I think, honestly, I don't mind larger blocks, to 2 or 4 megabytes. I don't think that would centralize the network at all. The only issue is that you do have to initiate a hard fork and people have to update their software. To-do said, Nick, what are some of the best ways you have educated yourself about things that you are passionate about, books, videos, and any recommendations? To-do, a lot of documentaries, a decent amount of reading, and more than anything, watching a ton of YouTube videos. I've gotten a massive amount of my education from the internet, and what's nice is so much of it's free. So, if you're looking to trade, I've got a whole good trading tip series on my channel, but in regards to learning, I highly recommend watching documentaries on the financial sector, on banking. That really opened up my eyes. At least that's my passion, but you have to determine what your passion is. It's not always going to be the same for everyone. Terry J said, Data Dash, your TA is at a middle schooler level. Keep it only on fundamentals. Well, Terry, it's interesting you mentioned that. I can tell you what we're trading here is currency markets, right? And I don't really take insult to your comment. I'm completely fine with criticism. But the reason why I'd say that it's probably not good to criticize the way that I do TA is because of the fact that I trade similar to a naked trader. I use very simple indicators, if anything, like moving averages, RSI, because really, historically speaking, you don't need to use many complex indicators in crypto. Now, if you're day trading, maybe a different story. But as a swing trader, I mostly naked trade. And naked trading is where you look at support and resistance. You see, there's a lot of people who overcomplicate trading, and they end up losing a lot of money by having 10 indicators on their chart. Not only because they're paying more for TradingView, but also because they're not focusing on what the market's really telling them. They think that they need to turn to 10 indicators to do that. And really, you don't. I can tell you crypto is much simpler than that. But things like this, like black swan events where you're just like someone's dumping for no reason, this is kind of unpredictable. Not only does my method of trading not really account for these, but also your 10 other indicators that someone might use won't. They can't read when someone's just going to dump like this. So that's why I try to keep it simple. I don't want to overcomplicate things. Sofin Pro asked, hey Nick, please recommend a good documentary about money and banking. There's plenty of them. So I was just recently watching one that I shouted out on my YouTube page. I probably wouldn't recommend this as a first one. This is one to watch after you understand the banking system. Princes of the Yen, really good. So Princes of the Yen. Along with that, I'm trying to think of I think it's called The American Dream. And if you type in The American Dream, the Fed, that's an animated documentary. It's a little bit propagandish, but it kind of gets the point across of how the Fed strips wealth through debt. You can watch Zeitgeist. They kind of explain fractional reserve lending, things of that sort. I'd probably say Overdose is a good one that talks about the overborrowing really over the past decade that caused 2008. So there's a lot of great documentaries out there. The Four Horsemen, I haven't seen that one in a long time. You can get a whole list. If you look up like financial documentaries, good stuff. And Amazon's got some good books as well. Kai Peterson, what key support levels are we looking at? Too difficult to predict with the whales. Is dollar cost averaging the best strategy for this market? I can tell you guys, I don't really want to speak too much because I feel anything I say at this point will be used as a counter for whales to trade. But I'll keep it simple. I want to see higher lows made on the daily. And if that's the case, I think you're going to cover up a lot of these losses today, especially if Craig, Wright, and the Bitcoin Cash crew really dumped their Bitcoin today. I don't really see that happening, but who knows? Hidden Secrets of Money, I completely forgot. CryptoCoin, great documentary. That actually explains central banking better than probably anything. Mike Maloney, we actually did a podcast episode with, still waiting to get it published. Sorry, I've got hiccups, guys. I always get that after I eat Chipotle. Bodie McBoatface, thank you very much. Some people are comparing this to the start of the bull run in August 2015. What do you think? I'm assuming when you say that, I might be getting my years wrong here. I think you mean 2016, but let me... you might be talking about over here. Oh, that's right. I wouldn't compare it to that because you were already working with a massive rally in Bitcoin's price. I'd say more than anything, this is just contact coming back to the logarithmic chart. And I can tell you, I think a lot of these losses, guys, much like we saw on some of these previous dips, they'll come back. So who knows? We might have to revisit back down to the infamous 5,000 that nobody wants to reach and Tone Vase has been talking about forever. Let's see here. Benji's boxing jail. What am I gonna do? Yeah, Phil, it feels like that sometimes, right? Let's see. Hands, I don't have any knowledge of knowing whether or not bots are causing the sell-off. I'd say more than anything during these moves, arbitrage bots are having a heyday trying to keep up with the different rates between exchanges and making money. Bogdan, we've been talking about it. You can go back on the video and stuff if you want to hear really my summary of the dip and everything. But long story short, guys, again, I'll summarize this for those who just joined in. There's not much news right now. More than anything, it's plausible that this is really just a group of collaborative whales who have dumped on spot exchange and are trading on margin. That's what's been happening for the past few months. Another book that I think, yes, I can agree with that. The Creatures of Jekyll Island. Guys, I cannot give you financial advice, but I will give you, I'll give you knowledgeable advice, and that is to read The Creatures from Jekyll, or no, it's just The Creature from Jekyll Island, yeah. It talks about the creation of the Federal Reserve. Really interesting book. And also, there's a book that I didn't get to finish, but I read most of, called The Tower of Basel, that talks about the Bank of International Settlements, literally the central bank of central banks, head of the financial world. Really, really interesting. And the New Confessions of an Economic Hitman, also really good. All righty, let's go ahead here. We'll go ahead and answer a few more questions. Rude, awesome, nice to have you on the chat, man. Hope you get to make it to Estonia. I'm gonna be speaking at the Moon Tech conference, so it would be awesome to have you over there. Nice to see. It'd be nice to see you again. Interesting. Someone said CBOE futures end today. Is that actually the case? Ah, they do. That's interesting. It's played out a lot when futures are expiring that this happens. Bilal, I haven't changed my position so much on IOTA and generally in altcoins. I'll give you guys some good resources as well. Like Whale Calls is a good thing to follow on Twitter. And there's also, what was it? Whale Alert. Yeah, so this lets you know about major moves on a lot of the blockchains. So for example, someone moved 1 million PAX tokens. You can see here, for example, someone moved almost nearly 1,000 Bitcoin, almost $5.4 million transaction. Imagine screwing that up. That's called getting wrecked if you screw that up. Like 700,000 Aeon. You can see here, so it's for a variety of altcoins and for all types of different cryptocurrencies. So, excuse me. Mr. Rahal, what do I think about the Fed coin? I think it's going to be the same centralized piece of crap that we've had for the past 100 years. And it's gotten worse and worse over time, as it will with the Fed coin, as we learn that there is a big difference between central bank run cryptocurrencies and decentralized cryptocurrencies. They will be able to freeze your account. They'll be able to freeze your transactions. They'll be able to control the supply of the currency up or down, mostly go to the upside as they tend to do, as they always do. And along with that as well, they will be changing the interest rate. I would much rather prefer a decentralized currency that does not meet those same standards. A lot of people are asking me for what level am I looking for support, guys. I don't want to tell you guys where to buy things. And second off, it seems like the sell side has really stopped here. But what you can watch for is you can take it to the 5 minute, any kind of time frame. What you generally want to see is that with these major moves, you want to see higher lows, right? So we were declining in lows, and now we've got a higher set, and we're back to this range. What you want to see is a higher level and making support on previous resistance, which around here was at around 5,800. If you take a look at the top of the wicks, yeah, just $2 away from 5,800. Alunz, I have talked about Oyster. I talked in my previous live stream back a few days ago, and the general gist on Oyster is they're doing a lot to respond to what happened. A lot of people are like, Data Dash did a shield for Oyster. It's like, yeah, and I like the project, and the actual team's really great. I had no idea that it had an anonymous founder, and I had no history of who Bruno Block was. That was probably the one area I missed. And as all people do, I made a mistake on that regard. But I do love Oyster Pearl. My brother's a big fan of it. The team has responded to making opacity, the token swap. So everything will work fine. Bruno exited and on his portion of the tokens that he generated with the flaw in the smart contract. And I can tell you, KuCoin's probably going to figure out who he is. They said that they're very close to identifying him. And you can't get away with stuff like that for very long. There's just usually too much info. Bertrand, XRB is Rayblox. That's the old symbol for Rayblox. Now it's Nano. Let's see here. Mario Loy, can you see Satoshi's wallet? We could review some of the wallets that are thought to be Satoshi's wallet, but they haven't had any Bitcoin selling. And if Satoshi was going to dump A, he would do it over OTC, and B, I mean, if he sold even a fraction of what he owns, the price would be much lower, just to put it that simple. But he has not moved funds out of his wallet for a long time. TK's, Nick, what would be the impact to consumer spending be if the oil price crashed? Gas and consumer products would be cheaper. Thank you. TK's, yes, that's what happened in 2015. Man, I loved those days. I was, getting a gallon of gas, and it was like $2, and inflation adjusted, that it was dirt cheap for oil. So it was very nice, and it gave a big boost to consumer savings, and they were able to go spend it in different markets. Again, one saving becomes a benefit for another market in that case. It hit oil markets quite bad. And I think you still have that same issue. You have overproduction. It's one of the few commodity markets that I'm iffy on, but I'm more focusing on a lot of the other outsider commodities like uranium, silver, and gold. Usually either the store value plays or on one that's in an energy market that I believe has been way too bearish for way too long. It's more of a niche market as well. Most people don't focus or trade uranium. Crypto Hazard said this is probably done for the hard fork of Bitcoin Cash, just like in July of 2017. I know what you're referring to when there was the dip beforehand, the dip before the hard fork. Thoughts about that, Nick? Crypto Hazard, maybe. It's a possibility, but I don't think they have the firepower like they used to commit to this. Not to mention, again, it's more of an end fight between Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Cash camp itself, right? Because Bitcoin Cash is splitting the two. But I don't know, he could be right on that. It's an interesting theory, nonetheless. Elizabeth, I did make one purchase, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. I bought about $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm limited on how much I can buy on certain exchanges, and I'm not dealing with Gemini anymore because I can't connect one of my bank accounts with there, which sucks. But I think Craig is yeah, WWF Squadron. If you really think Craig is Satoshi, you need to get out of crypto ASAP. Yes, he would have proved that a long time ago through two very easy ways. A, making a transaction from one of the early unspent transactions in a wallet, or B, going on to his blog and signing Craig Wright. Satoshi, whoever Satoshi was, has a very high chance of either A, never revealing their identity, and we'll never know who they are, or B, is dead. So, so long as those Bitcoin don't move, it's almost as if you can denominate those million Bitcoin from the supply. But we'll have to see. That's something that I could see justifying. If you saw Bitcoin moving out of Satoshi's supposed wallets, yeah, that could be a justification for something like this, but we haven't. Someone mentioned Nick Szabo's Satoshi. Maybe, yeah, Nick Szabo's a very intelligent guy. I would assume he probably doesn't like being accused of being Satoshi as much as that might be seen as a compliment. Crypto B still promised a Lambo at 100K. See you soon. All right, Crypto B. Let's see here. Guys, please don't spam specific things in chat in all caps. That's not going to make me want to check it. Andres, can you check out this project, dctoproject.org? Thanks for. I'll definitely try to look into it, Andres. Mesh Jr. said this is crypto Black Friday. Feels like it. I picked up a little bit. If it stays low like this, guys, and holds this range, if not slowly starts to arch back up, I'm going to keep picking up some until it fills this gap of price action. A few $100 to go. Kip Sprinton said, hey, Data just want to say you've taught me a lot and keep up the great work. Interested in more info on the project you're involved in. Oh, yes, Project Genesis. We're having some great developments going, guys. We just had a few more people join on board, contributing part-time. And hopefully we'll open source a portion of the project in the next few months. It's just a matter of getting certain objectives complete. And I can't wait to share some of them with you guys. I'm really excited. Everyone we've talked to so far has really liked the concept. And it's something that we believe is practically achievable as well. But there's definitely still some problems we need to fix first. Ask Faisal, Data why is it easier to track Bruno than Satoshi? So that's a good question. Why is it easier to track one anonymous individual over another? Well, because Bruno gave so much hints. And not to mention the team's already mentioned that they have a good tracking on who Bruno potentially is. So that's a good sign. But along with that, really the factor is that Bruno spoke so much. He gave away so much of his character in his words and his messages. He even messaged after he exit scammed for the project. The whole rest of the team, honestly, seem like a genuine bunch of people, have a well-developed background behind them. Bruno, on the other hand, sounds like not only a narcissistic, but just an absolutely maniac, doomsday individual who's completely stepped away from the fundamentals of crypto, for at least what I read. And, to try to break the law like that and exit on a project that you spent so much time on, I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Boschman, no problem, man. Glad I could help. Mr. Harry Lasagna, I agree. Everyone just take a deep breath. This was nothing new. I like that. Phil, much contact with the Unibright team lately? Not too much. We definitely have, kind of slowed things down. My advisor role was really for the first, 6 to 12 months of Unibright existing. So now we've gotten kind of towards the later portion. But the project's still there. I'm keeping in contact with Martin and the rest of the team and talking with some of the advisors. We did a Q&A back a few weeks ago on the Telegram. So definitely very excited about what's coming. All right, we'll go ahead one last time, guys, and I'll kind of talk about what I think is causing this because I know there's a lot of you coming in and out. To be fair, from what I can analyze in this, there is nothing so far that I can see from the sources I know, from the people I know in the space as to what might be causing this. There's no Korean exchange ban. There's no Indian exchange ban. There's no China ban in Bitcoin. In fact, things have been quite to the contrary on fundamentals. So what's causing this? It's most likely a collective set of whales over on BitMEX who have colluded to dropping the price and then shorting it on leverage. It's what's been happening for the past few months, and sometimes it happens in bigger waves. And also, the spot market can sometimes do the work for them once they've done enough at a pure FUD. Alrighty. Boots of Leather said Bruno is a scapegoat alias used to exit scam. I wouldn't say that just yet. I would see if they find common IPs with some of the teammates, or with the investigation that they initiated. I think they'd probably not push for an investigation if they weren't certain that it wasn't any of the team members. So I don't know, Boots of Leather. You might be on something. I don't know if I fully believe they're Bruno. Crypto B. Kik selects Stellar over Ethereum for token launch. Interesting. So Kik, who created Kin, is going to be using Stellar. That's interesting. Check the BTC shorts before the dump. Let's go ahead and check shorts here. Yeah, this is the kind of like silly trading behavior I see, shorts rallying after prices come down. I mean, I think what's coming here is probably more confidence that, oh, we've smashed through 6,000. It's most likely we'll go to 5K or something. Maybe, but this is kind of counterproductive. You're supposed to kind of short when prices have yet to go down, but I don't know. Bertrand, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of competing cryptocurrencies, but I think Bitcoin's going to be, more than anything, what's seen as a global store of value. I don't know if it's going to be currency for the world. Who knows? But I think cryptocurrencies will. Alrighty, we're going to close up the live stream here in just a few minutes, guys. As always, want to say a few things. We'll go ahead and answer a few more questions. As always, don't overreact. And second off as well, definitely join in the Discord if you guys want to chat with people, share knowledge, what you know, what's going on at the moment. Definitely communicate with one another. Just type in !Discord. It'll drop down the link down below in the chat for you. So let's go ahead. We'll answer 2 more questions here. Crypto has a Craig writes, last tweet, expect prices to 2014 levels, creating FUD. Do you hold Bitcoin Cash, Nick? No, I do not. Oh, no, I do not hold Bitcoin Cash. And there's a reason for that, guys. You hear Craig Wright, and even, you know, I think honestly, out of all the people in the Bitcoin Cash camp, I know a lot of you don't like Roger. I know a lot of people don't like Roger Ver. But I've talked to him. I met him personally. I got to tell you, the one thing I'll place a bet on is that Roger really cares about getting adoption. That all being realized, this whole camp of people who have gotten behind a forked currency, the only thing they can make out of it is a speculative investment vehicle. Why? Because they are going to have to do everything they did for Bitcoin the past 6 to 7 years and copy that 6 to 7 years behind Bitcoin and build up an audience of people using it. Now, if you own Bitcoin, you have Bitcoin Cash. The problem is that I, for example, I had personal friends of mine who were early investors in Bitcoin. They had no idea about Bitcoin Cash until months later, and it took them forever to figure out how to claim it, right? So, again, I don't think you're ever going to see Bitcoin Cash be able to catch up and compete with Bitcoin and to convince miners to secure Bitcoin Cash and its networks, or the different forks that we're going to get over Bitcoin's network. You're going to have to convince billions of dollars of hashing power to go over that way. You know, it's really a question of whether or not you can believe that or not. I have a hard time believing that that's the case. So, anyways, we'll go ahead and answer one more thing. Freak helping Orange Man bad. I love the NPC memes. Too good. One last good question here. Thanks so much, Nick. It's very comforting that experts go through this with us. Sarah, I'm no expert, but I do appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say, and I'm glad I could help in that regard. Enjoy life. Thanks for keeping a cool head in these spicy times. Yes, let's call it a spicy downtrend. It makes it a little more comforting, I guess. Tracy Lee, yes, I think this would be a good one. Kind of second last question to answer. I like Hashgraph. Hedera is very interesting. I actually was on the front stage of the World Reveal, so I got to play a little role in history in the whole crypto and blockchain space. But Hashgraph, love Lehman Baird. totally awesome guy. Got to meet him in person, do an interview right after the event. I'm interested to see. I didn't invest, but we'll see how it goes. They've got a very long-term plan as a distributed network. Crypto B, don't worry, McAfee won't lose the bet. Oh, I like that. Thank you, Crypto B. All right, guys. So let's go ahead here, and I think we'll call it. I'm buying McAfee some barbecue sauce and a mini hot dog roll for Christmas. And that right there, I think, is a great place to leave off. It's the joke of the year. Thank you all so much for tuning in, guys. Again, don't FOMO, don't FUD, don't worry too much about what's going on, guys, because you can see, obviously, I'll leave you all with the key thing to take away. Whether it is Craig Wright, whether it is Big Mex Whales, there's not that much volume being traded, okay? It looks like a lot now because we've been in a very low volume market, and people are taking advantage of that. It doesn't matter who it is. People who have a weighted interest in Bitcoin's price going down are taking advantage of that, okay? So, again, markets have sell-off, markets have rallies, but above all, know that there's a lot of bad actors taking advantage of the current state of the market, where everyone's pretty much trading on leveraged exchanges or OTC. It leaves retail exchanges vulnerable to manipulation, and the image of that currency very vulnerable. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, join the Discord, !Discord in the chat, and then I'll give you a link to join in. But until the next video, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Talk to you all soon.